Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your favorite Chess Journal YouTube channel. And I hope all of you are doing great. Thanks for tuning in. And in our last video, we have discussed about the Pirc defense. We talked about Pirc defense opening and have seen in details the classical variation, and we looked into the major two lines. Those are the two knights system and the quiet system. Now today we are going to look a game, uh, or should we say review a game played by the masters in this Pirc defense setup or system. So the game that we are going to look into has been played by none other than the former world champion Anatoly Karpov versus Azmaiparashvili in the USSR Championship, Moscow. And I think the game took place, yeah, it was in 1983. So, which means that during that time, Karpov was still the world FIDE World Chess Champion. Okay, now let's dive in. So the game started with e4. Karpov was in the white end, and he started with e4. His opponent, Azmaiparashvili, played d6. Our move that we want to play with Pirc defense, and he grabbed the center with d4. And Azmaiparashvili, I don't know whether I'm pronouncing his name properly, but please correct me if I'm wrong. And he played g6. This is we played g6 when in the modern defense. So the game is going to transpose into Pirc defense. You will see shortly. Karpov developed his knight to f3, and now Azmaiparashvili played knight f6. Now this is the Pirc defense, and Karpov played knight c3. Now we are into the classical setup, and Azmaiparashvili fianchettoed his light square bishop, and now Karpov plays bishop e2. And if you can remember from the complete Pirc defense opening that we have discussed in our last video, this system is called the quiet system or the quiet setup. Now both side castles, and take a look on the eval bar. It says black is slightly worse, but that's it. That is a normal thing. I've found that computer doesn't like Pirc defense, mainly because of these pawn majority that or the center control white has. Okay, game continues. It's Azmaiparashvili's move, and he played bishop to g4. That's the development move of our light square bishop. The bishop wants to go here. Uh, in this position, you can also play knight c6 and aim to play c5 or e5 instead of playing your bishop here. And sometimes the bishop also could go to here in the b7 square if you fianchetto this square. Take a look in the opening repertoire where I have discussed these things in detail. Now, Karpov played bishop to e3. That's also one of the lines. And black is still not doing even equal. Now, our aim, being the Pirc defense player, you must have already know that is to attack the center, and But before that, we need to develop our knight, and knight could again come here in d7 square, but Azmaiparashvili decided to play knight c6, queen d2. The purpose of that move is again to create this battery and get rid of this strong Pirc bishop that we have. Now is the time to strike at the center. That's what Azmaiparashvili did. Not to mention that he was a very strong grandmaster or super grandmaster. Um, Mostly he is well known for his attacking play or tactical play, I must say, or should I say. And Karpov decided to lock it, which is still good, or taking was also another possibility. Both are actually correct. Um, Here, let me go back. Let me discuss in detail what this one d5 push is the more common one. D takes e5 and then d takes e5. Then um, queens might come off. That's another possibility. Or white could also decide to do nothing by playing one of the rooks here in the d1 or e1 square. And remember that in that case, black is actually doing better if white doesn't want to uh, do nothing. Then if white doesn't take, then black could even take the e pawn. Okay, anyway, so let's go back to the game. So Karpov locked the center, and as our knight was attacked, knight has to retreat. Azmaiparashvili played a knight to e7, and Karpov put his a rook to d1 square, and still white is doing better. And here, this is an exciting move. B5. On the surface, it may look losing move because this pawn is a gunner, right? But see, the plan is if bishop takes this pawn, okay, let's see this on the board. If bishop takes this pawn, then the follow-up could be this bishop takes this knight, okay, and then uh, this bishop needs to be recaptured, and which is gonna damage king's kingside position. And let's go back. If um, if knight takes b5, then look at the eval bar. Then what could black play in response? This pawn, this knight used to guard this pawn. Then we could take this one, and there comes a tempo on the queen. So queen needs to move. Where could it go? Say, for example, it goes to e1 square. Then we could play bishop d7, winning central pawn was all we achieved. And this knight is very strong, and this pawn will be under fire very soon, and these pawns are very weak. Okay, so let's go back to our position where Azmaiparashvili played b5, so Karpov decided not to take. Instead, he played a free, and Azmaiparashvili played a5. This is really attacking player. He wants to open up lines because the center is locked, and when the center is locked, this is what you guys should do. Open as many lines as possible. It could be on the queen side or in the king side, but if you look at the board at the moment, uh, how do we open lines? We open lines with our pawns, right? So we have pawns here on the queen side. So opening lines against white's queen side is actually the better decision. Okay, so after a5, Karpov played b5, b4, and then Azmaiparashvili took a takes b4, and Karpov did a b4 as well. Now black played rook a3, attacking this knight. Uh, well, the thing is again, what is the point? I mean, the tactic is, see, Karpov played here, coming here, and then Azmaiparashvili played rook takes c3. So if queen takes the rook, then we take this center pawn again, forking these two pieces and then winning back one of the pieces. But before that, we are going to capture this knight. So that is the little tactic. Okay, so that is why Karpov played bishop takes f6. The rook is still unguarded. So Azmaiparashvili first took the knight, and now Karpov took the bishop on f3. That was too strong, and not to mention this bishop is also unguarded. Now Karpov, sorry, Azmaiparashvili saved his rook, and then Karpov took this dark square bishop. Excuse me. And now king has to retake. King takes g7 bishop, and then rook a1. This rook is pretty strong, so Karpov did a good job by playing rook a1. The position is now equal, whereby black is slightly, very slight. I should say this is equal. Then Azmaiparashvili put his queen behind the rook, guard that queen, so one pair of rooks are gone. Now queen a3 is on board, and here Karpov played bishop e2, attacking this pawn on b5. Now queen b2, Karpov is saying, okay, if you want to take this pawn, go ahead. I'm gonna put this rook in b8 square and chase your bishop and win this pawn in return. So Karpov played rook d1, and now Azmaiparashvili break in the center again with f5. So these are the breaks we see very commonly. It takes place in the Pirc defense with e5, c5, f5. F5 is the break that takes place in the middle game or late middle game. So we shouldn't play f5 very early because that's on the king side. Now fe5, knight takes e5, knight takes f5. Sorry, I said e f5 and then knight takes e5. Sorry about that. Now queens are off, and rook takes queen. So this rook comes to the a8 square, grabbing this open file. And take a look at the eval bar. Black is now doing better after this transaction. Now white has this bishop. This pawn is loose, so Karpov grabbed this pawn, and Azmaiparashvili beautifully, from this point in time, beautifully played this endgame. As you will see, first he put this rook to a3, attacking this pawn, and Karpov defended the pawn by playing rook c2, and now knight to e7, attacking this pawn on d5, and f4, trying to um, activate the king by this way, because these pawns are gonna be very strong. So, but Azmaiparashvili didn't care. He took the pawn, and bishop came here. Uh, if knight takes here, then this pawn is gonna be they're gonna be very strong in the queen side, and one of them is gonna be queening. So it's better not to capture this bishop. So Azmaiparashvili put his knight on the f5 square, and king is being activated by Karpov. And look at the eval bar. As you can see, black is doing better. Azmaiparashvili took the risk and attacked the rook, but a better move could have been to go here, play g5, or even king to f6, centralizing your king and try to come here. But anyway, he played knight e3, attacking the rook. Rook needs to be saved, so rook went c1, and now king is being activated again. Better move could have been knight g4, check, and trying to win this pawn. Or if king goes here, then I don't know. If so, okay, if knight g4, then king comes here, and then probably what could have been played? Probably knight e5, and then um, king cannot take this pawn. Okay, let me show this on the board. Check, and if king comes here, then this check. Okay, if takes, then this one is winning, and that is the reason why that's not good. So let's go back. So when Azmaiparashvili played king f6, Karpov played g3, and computer is saying that g3 is again another losing move. What could have been better? Better move could have been simply to play king f3. Anyway, Karpov played g3, and Azmaiparashvili again centralized his king to e5, but that's not even better move. Better move could have been knight g4 again. Okay. Anyway, but black is still doing better. So Karpov played king f3, and then g5. Now captures, recapture, and then h4. Now Azmaiparashvili played knight takes d5, bishop d5, king d5, and king f4. And this is a race. Look, the king is going to the queen side. This pawn is a goner now. So rook takes c3, rook e7, rook on the 7th now, targeting this one and probably trying to win this pawn. Queen this pawn. And then king b4, getting away from the check as well as defending. Rook takes h7, d5, king e5, c6, king d4, rook c4, and here at this point, white resigned. Game could have continued after this check. King d3, and then c5. That's a check. I don't know, king d3 perhaps, and then maybe king b5, Then what else? Maybe rook d7. Then um, is this playable? This no. This is losing. Uh, this is losing. Okay. Um, maybe king c5. Yeah, king c5. Yeah, king e4 and okay, rook c1, king takes. This is not possible because after this we have got this check and king goes here, then we've got this check and winning this rook. So probably those are the reasons why he resigned. Or okay, let me see the engine moves. Let me turn the engine on. What was the position? D7. Okay. Sorry guys, bear with me. Yeah, after king e5, c6, and then king d4, and then rook c4 check. Here, this is the position where Karpov resigned. Now, engine says the best, I mean, the continuation could have been king d3, and here, yes, okay, I missed this one. Okay, so rook needs to be remain activated, and these pawns are gonna be passers. One of them are gonna be queening very soon, because let's check the engine move. Stockfish suggest king d4, staying on this uh, file, king d4, and then rook d1 check, king e5, and now d4. Rook c7, trying to win this one, but then we can play c5 and king d5, king d5, and now rook f1. Okay, rook f1, because now this pawn cannot be taken because of this check here, winning the rook. So king e4 and king c4. Now, as you can see that in this position, black is easily winning. So these are the reasons why Karpov resigned. So I hope that all of you have enjoyed this game. And let me know, guys, how do you think about these game review in future, as we discuss about the other variations of the Pirc defense. We are going to review games in those variations as well. So those of you who haven't subscribed the channel, please ensure subscribing, and till the next time, take care of yourself. Bye bye.